Hi, and welcome to another Wednesday's Word. Today I want to talk about reading the Bible in uncomfortable situations. Growing up and through an early part of my life, I had this image of reading the Bible as this respite, a retreat center. Every year as a youth group, we would go on retreats. You'd get alone, have campfire experiences. In college, we went to a place in North Dakota where we would climb mountains and be on top of this hill and read the Bible and have worship times. And everyone was friends. We got goosebumps. It was amazing. There's that old song, I come to the garden alone, and he walks with me, he talks with me, he tells me that he loves me. That's how I want my Bible readings to be. Just me and a cup of coffee and Jesus' presence and these warm, fuzzy experiences. But unfortunately, that's not how much of life goes. And that's not how the Bible was written. This morning I was studying Psalm 9, and in it David's writing, Lord, see how the enemies persecute me. Have mercy and lift me up from the gates of death, that I might declare your praises in the gates of the daughter of Zion, and there rejoice in your salvations. The nations have fallen into a pit they have dug, their feet are caught in the net that they have hidden. But the Lord is known by his acts of justice. And so David's writing in a situation of persecution. He's seeing people all around him who are digging pits. They're trying to trap him. They're trying to take his life. He's writing from the very gates of death. And so he knows that his life is teetering on a line. David isn't saying, okay, God, I'm going to get away from all this conflict and have a warm, fuzzy moment with you. I picture him almost in the middle of a battle. He's there behind his shield writing this psalm, not literally, but mentally and emotionally. He's writing it from a place of conflict. So instead of your solarium with sun pouring in and a warm fire and a cup of coffee, how would you read the Bible differently in a foxhole? How would you read it differently knowing that your life was on the line? Because I think the Bible takes us to both places. There are times when we do have these experiences where God is real and present, and it's so comforting. But there's also times when the stress of life and real or perceived enemies are out to get you, and you're begging for help. And if God is only a God of comfort, then we don't have him in our warfare. And if God is only a God of warfare, then he has no room in our comfort, in our lifestyle. God is God. And so when you go to battle, you're going to battle with God. You're bringing your problems to God. Sometimes if you're going into battle and you bring them to God, you might realize that you're the aggressor. It's really you the one digging the pits. You're the one who is being unjust. And God can change your heart and lead you to justice. But often in my situation, I've been and have prayed with people who are being persecuted, who are dealing with just terrible life situations. And in those situations, God shows up as real. He doesn't step in and say, oh, I have no understanding of this. There's a Greek deity that they made up called Dionysius. And he was the god of wine and pleasure. He would come in the middle of the night by the streams of rivers with grapes and parties and music and all sorts of pleasures. And if you were in a battle, you would not summon him. They had another god, Ares, who was a god of battle. He would come and wage war and leave havoc in his reigns. If we tried to diminish God to either of those, and they were both very popular Greek and Roman deities, if we try to diminish the God of the Bible to either of those, and many people do that, even though they'd never use those terms, you're not going to have a God that can deal with your whole life. There's been times when I've turned God into Ares. He's a God of warfare. He's a God who fights doctrine, fights culture battles, fights for the purity of the church, and those are necessary things. But then that God didn't know how to deal with depression. And the God who I would try to create in depression doesn't know how to deal with love and harmony. And the gods that we come up with in times of love and harmony don't know how to deal with persecution. It's circular, and if we're always, that's why all the other religions have deep pantheons of gods. You have to have one for every aspect of life. The God of the Bible stands above that in reality. And what he's able to say is, in your depression, I'm here. In your battles, I'm here. In those times of comfort, when everything is going well for you, I'm here. So he can deal with your pains. He can deal with your frustrations, deal with the weakness and sadnesses that we deal with. And so that's why I love the Bible. I've heard someone say that Christians aren't in the religion business, we're in the reality business. And I find that to be very true. The reality of life is so complex, but we have a God who is real. And we can take our real lives to this real God using his inspired word, and we find hope. All right, that's all I've got for you this week. God bless.